Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to talk about process of communication, and always remember process of communication is very important for understanding, because if you don't understand what process of communication is, you cannot communicate properly and effectively. So before, obviously, when you talk about process of communication, there are two major words. One is process and the other one is communication. So see, we have to understand what it is. First, we need to understand what is communication. So see, communication is a process in which we transfer some information. And then third, why do we do this? We create understanding. Now, I am going to explain it in detail. First, we said that communication is a process. So we need to understand what is a process. Basically, process is a set of different actions. When you perform different actions in a series, in a sequence, to get or to achieve a certain goal, that is basically, in simple words, that is basically called process. So when we say communication is a process, it means in communication we are not going to do one action, rather we are going to take different actions. Second point is, are those actions going to follow a certain sequence? Yes, they are going to follow a certain sequence. Those steps, those functions will not be performed in a random way. They will not be randomly at all. They will follow a sequence and order. And the third thing is that we want to achieve certain thing. So in communication, we perform different actions in a sequence to achieve certain goal. And what is it? That goal is basically you transfer information. Information is data. It exists in your mind. It can be an opinion, it can be an idea, it can be a feeling, it can be any emotion, it can be any instruction, it can be anything, right? So what you do, you transfer or you exchange information in it. Then the third point is, who does this? Yes, transfer is information is transferred from one person to another person. Person to person means they can be anything, like it can be two people, student and teacher. It can be to institutions, to organizations, to provinces, to countries, to different institutes, right? Two different departments. So person doesn't mean that, okay, it is physically a person. It may be two different entities. Then what we do, why we transfer information from one point to another or from one person to another, always remember our sole purpose is to create understanding. Whatever you are saying, whenever you are communicating, you have sole purpose, and that is creating understanding. If you are not creating understanding, it means your communication is not successful. So in simple words, we can say that communication is a process in which we transfer information from one person to another person in order to create understanding. Okay, when we say communication is a process, it means it will have different elements, different components. We can call them components, we can call them elements. Let's see what they are. They are six. Number one is sender, he's also called receiver. Number two is context, it is also called source. Number three is message. Number four is channel. Number five is receiver. And number six is feedback. Now we are going to discuss, in this lecture, we are going to discuss only sender. Let's see what it is. Sender is basically, he is or she is a person who is going to create the message. He is also called, in technical terms, he is called encoder. He can be a writer, he can be a speaker in most of the cases. Let's see what sender has to do. Basically, sender initiates communication. That's why he creates the message first. He starts communication. That's why he or she is the person who is going to create the message. So it is sender who wants to achieve certain goals through communication. Therefore, sender has to take following steps for creating an effective message. The first step is that he is going to consider purpose. What is the purpose of his or her communication? So remember, when you make your purpose clear in your mind, when you define your purpose, then you can move further, move forward. You decide, your purpose tells you what to do, what to say, and how to say. So uh, let's say, so what you have to do is that you have to define your purpose, and what you are going to do, that uh, why are you communicating, make that thing clear in your mind. So the purpose will help you, that what words you are going to choose and what structure, how you are going to present that data or those words to make your communication effective. There are different kinds of purpose. Purpose can be of different kinds. Uh, sometimes you are communicating because you want to entertain. Sometimes you are communicating because you want to persuade. Sometimes you are communicating because you want to instruct, or sometimes you are giving uh, your opinion, or you're sharing your emotions. So every purpose will have a different strategy. Let's suppose you are going to persuade someone. Let's suppose you are introducing a product in the market. So you can, what you are going to do, let's suppose you have introduced a pen, right? And you are going to sell it, you are going to market in the market, that people or buyers can buy your product. So you'll not say, okay, I have got this pen, we have introduced this pen and its price is 50 rupees. No, what you are going to do, first you'll say, okay, there are people who are students, there are people who are teachers, there are people who are officers, there are people who are businessmen, and you have to do written work, and your companion in your written work is your pen. Your pen can create problems for you too, and your pen, if your pen is not good, it can create problems for you. And if your pen is very good, of good quality, it can solve your problem, it can help you get your goal. So I have got a pen which has these qualities, and then you will tell, okay ji, this is the price of that pen, right? You are not going to tell the price in the beginning, or on the, what you are going to do, what you are doing, you are using polite language. You will give different examples, you will try to convince the person, right? On the other hand, when you are giving instructions, you want to give instructions, you are not going to convince someone. What you have to do is that, okay, these instructions must be followed. You can see the manuals, different, you buy a machine and you see that that machine has a manual in it. You will find a picture of that machine, and then there will be different steps, and those steps will be numbered. And if you see, those steps will start with imperatives, with imperative verbs, and those verbs will be common ones, and the sentences will be very short, 2 to 3 word sentence, because your respondent has to follow those steps. So he has to, or she has to, keep those steps in his or her mind. That's why verbs should be easier one, should be common one, should be familiar one, and though the sentences should be very small or short. After discussing purpose, what you are going to do, what sender is going to do, that he or she is going to analyze his or her audience. Without analyzing your audience, it is impossible for you to create a good effective message. After deciding purpose, sender has to analyze audience, because the audience is going to respond to sender's communication, and whatever sender does, it is for audience. Consequently, message will never be effective if sender does not put oneself on the position of audience. Always remember, whenever you are going to analyze your audience, put yourself on the position of your receiver, on your client, on your respondent, right? If this thing is said to me like this, so what will be my response? How I am going to give a response, right? For this, what you have to do is analyze age, what age group your sender belongs to, what is his or her education, what social background he or she has, what interest he or she has, and what will be the number of audience. By considering these features, sender can create message according to the understanding level of audience. Let's see. If you have to talk to children, so you are not going to talk about inflation, or you're not going to talk about democracy. What you are going to do, they are of class 5, so you will talk about movies, animated movies. Okay, have you watched Frozen, or have you watched Brave, or who is your favorite animated character, right? Such kind of questions you are going to talk. But same, if you are talking to PhD students, you're not going to talk about animated movies. Rather, you will talk about solid, very, very solid topics like inflation, why inflation is increasing in Pakistan, how can we eradicate it? All right. So, similarly, same group, let's suppose social background, religious background, if the people with whom you are talking, if they are not from same background, you can have problem. So you have to see that who will be my audience, so I have to take care of their religious and other social feelings. Similarly, you are teaching to computer students, they are BS students, and you start telling them, okay ji, this is CPU, it is called central processing unit, and the input device is mouse or uh, other things, right? So it will be wastage of their time, so you are not going to tell them. But the same thing you can share with the students of class 3. Okay, this is mouse, and this mouse is input device. Similarly, this is output device, that is your uh, LED is your output device, right? Or your speakers are your output device. There you can talk about, but at BS level, you will not. Okay, so after deciding audience, you are going to collect data, and that is, sender collects information by keeping purpose and audience in mind. Purpose and analysis of audience will support sender in deciding which information is relevant and necessary. So when you collect data, always remember, you will have either primary source of information or you will have secondary source of information. Remember that whatever source of information you are adopting or you are choosing, remember, authenticate it, confirm it. Either it is authentic source of information or it is not an authentic source of information. Let's suppose when you are sharing any verse of Quran, you must give its reference from Quran, not from Facebook or not from any other site. Quran should be consulted from there. So you are going to authenticate it. Similarly, if you are sharing certain data related to grocery items prices, so you are going to give some authentic source. You are not going to share any Facebook post, so it is not recommended, right? What sources you can have, you can have even person can be your source, your library can be your source, online sources you can have, newspapers you can have, documentaries you can watch, right? So these are different sources which you can use to collect data. And always remember, whenever you create any message, you will never have uh, points in order. You will have random data, you will have a random information. And keeping your purpose and audience in your mind, you are going to decide what information is relevant and what information is irrelevant. So irrelevant information you will keep with you, and irrelevant information you will discard. So next point is communication skills. Sender will consider his or her communication skills. Communication skills are those skills which are important for you to communicate. In speaking, you have four skills: speaking, reading, writing, and listening. If you are not good at all these four skills, you cannot become a good communicator. So remember, you must apply all skills to communicate. Let's suppose um, when, like, let's suppose in writing, you have to use correct language, that is to use correct grammar, correct spellings, and correct punctuation. If these are not correct, what you are going to do, you are going to create a bad impact, right? Similarly, structure and sequence of data play vital role in creating a message. In speaking, his or her, or your sender's presentation skills also matter a lot. Your body language, how you are having facial expressions, what kind of gestures you are giving, what kind of eye contact you have, do you have sufficient volume that you are audible, right? So these are part of your communication skills. Your, even your pronunciation is correct, is should be correct. If you are mispronouncing words, like we say theory, or we say curie, or it is entrepreneurship, we say entrepreneurship. So these all create a bad impact on you. So your communication skills should be very good. Your grammar, your spellings, your punctuation, then your uh, volume, your body language, your eye contact, and even your pronunciation. After communication skills, you are going to consider attitude. It means how you think of yourself as well as of your audience. Sender has to adopt moderate way in this regard. He or she should not feel himself or herself superior or inferior to others. If sender feels superior, he or she will become more authoritative. He or she will not listen to others' advice and become rude. Contrary to this, feeling inferior will lead sender to indecisiveness, and as a result, people will get undue advantage of you. So, see, if you think that you are the best and nobody matches you and your knowledge and your skills, you will not take care of others. You will be disrespectful to other people. And people, if they give you a sincere and positive, uh, uh, sincere advice, then you will not listen to them. Once they give you advice, you don't listen to them. Second time they give you advice, you don't listen to them. Rather, you rebuke them, you insult them. So next time they are not going to give you any sincere advice. What they are going to do, they will start moving away from you, right? So ultimately you will be in trouble. On the other hand, if you are very, you feel inferior, you say, oh, okay, I don't know anything, I'm not well experienced, I'm not well versed, I'm not uh, a skilled person, so everyone is going to get advantage of you. Everyone, you will listen to everyone, and you will respond to everyone. They may not be sincere with you, so you will not be decisive, right? For every decision you are going to depend upon others. So obviously this world is not of innocent people, so people can get benefit of you, they can lead you towards a wrong way. So the best thing is that your attitude should be balanced. It should not be, you should not be feeling inferior, you should not be feeling superior. You should adopt a balanced attitude, and you should have a discretion and your uh, acumen that where you have to do what. So the last point in it is credibility. If sender does not have his or her credibility, he and or she cannot be a good communicator. Credibility is sender's reputation in audience's mind, what your audience thinks of yourself, of you. Therefore, sender has to be careful in creating message because his or her words will establish his or her reputation in audience's mind. So, sender has to say everything with logic, and it should be based on reality. His or her information should not be full of exaggeration. Rather, his or her words should show sincerity with the audience. He should establish the image of being dynamic and person of action. See, there are so many examples in front of you from your daily life. Look at these politicians. They claim something which they cannot provide to people. So, what happens? People stand against them. So, remember, your credibility is that you make by yourself. Never say anything that you cannot do. And always claim what you can do. And your claim must be based on a reality, must not be, you should never be uh, less realistic, right? So this is what sender can do. Sender will define his purpose, he will analyze his or her audience, he will or she will consider data, collect data, then he will or she will apply communication skills on it, and his or her attitude matters a lot. And last thing is credibility. Your message will make you or will destroy you. If you create a credibility, a reputation among your audience, you can become a very good, effective, successful communicator. So I'm 100% sure that you have understood it. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.